Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with the Sincere Truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Ruach HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone that taught us this truth and ever will. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, and pushing this truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here article real quick, as far as, the wars and rumors of wars, Russia being a guardian to these other nations, all right, and how basically, the least of them shall draw them out, all right, unto war, all right, because ultimately, we all know what's going on with, those Israelis over there and how they're, treating the people that's over there as their neighbors. Well, it's coming to a point, to where, the whole world is, these other nations' leaders are actually starting to take, a stance on these things, But nevertheless, because beforehand, the how would you say, the so-called Western leaders, they would always just turn a blind eye to these things, in which they still do to this day. But some of them, every once in a while, they even raise an eyebrow over these things, But when you over here in America, you hear about this here propaganda about basically, Russia's the aggressor, or basically, Iran is backing terrorists that's killing people over there in Israel, bombing them and everything. But this is how these things go down. They'll basically, have their propaganda where they'll so-called fire rockets in Israel's direction, where their missile defense systems knock them out the sky. But then they'll say, see, now we can retaliate. But come on, man. All right, this is just like, a person that's going over to a damn hornet's nest and going over there and knocking at it, and not expecting the wasp to come out and sting you. If you got some kind of common sense, you see the damn hornet's nest, you stay far away from that shit, unless your ass want to get bit. And these people ain't trying to get bit. They've been being hammered down. These people over here live in a state of terror their whole lives, Even these Israelis over there, because of their government, what their government does, and always have these air raids, sirens and everything like that. But it's their provoking, all right, that's doing all these things that's ultimately gonna, spark, a hot war with, into World War III, all right, because ultimately America's trying to basically take over the whole world, and you have Russia's the main stronghold, because they're the ones that's really backing all these other nations they're trying to get a foothold in. Obviously China is like backing them with finances and technology and things like that. But you have these other nations like Iran, which Iran is very important because of, they have give me a second. Iran has an oil supply for one, but nevertheless, what's more important than that is, like the Strait of Hormuz, all right, which is like right there, the mouth of the Persian Gulf. So this is a main, you need this spot to be able to import things up into that area, which is going to go up through the Middle East and, the other parts of Europe and everything else like that. But nevertheless, this is why America's trying to get over into there, all right? But let's read a little bit of this here article. It says, Russian-made air defense systems shoot down all Israeli missile targeting Syria's Homs military, all right? All 4 missiles fired by Israeli warplanes at Syria's Home province early on Thursday were shot down by the Syrian army using Russian-made, I'll call it BUK air defense systems, the Russian military has revealed. 2 Israeli F-16 jets fired guided missiles from Lebanese airspace around 1:11 local time on Thursday. And another thing that you can kind of look at is like, this is the practice phase before the hot war goes out, because they're testing equipment right about now, man. All right, because really when you look at it, it's like American equipment versus Russian equipment. All right, they're just using these different proxies. You have Israel and Syria, right? It says all 4 missiles were destroyed by on-duty Syrian air defense units. The Russian-made BUK M2E system, the Russian Conciliation Center for Syria said in a statement. It says it was the second Israeli strike against Syria this week, coinciding with the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Adha that began on Monday. All right, now, hey, look, now if this was the other way around, they'd be calling for a condemnation from all the nations around the world if this was like a so-called one of these holidays that these Jewish people celebrate or something like that, and there was an attack on them like that. There would be an outcry. They would have the crocodile tears on the news, and they would be showcasing all that. Oh my God, they're trying to kill us while we're out here trying to just pray. But then when you flip it around the other side, you very rarely hear any media coverage over these things, you know. And if they do, they're like, oh, this is anti-Semitic statements. Well, it's like, come on, man. All right. It says on Tuesday, and when you really think about it, you know, these Palestinians that they be talking about over there, like those Muslims over there, for the most part, they Shemitic as well too. You know, the Edomites and, you know, the Ishmaelites, they're both Shemitic people. So what the hell are they talking about? It says on Tuesday, 4 Israeli jets fired 8 missiles into Aleppo province, striking a scientific research facility in the town of Safara. 7 out of the 8 were shot down, however, by Syrian air defense units using the Buk-M2 and Panzer S weapon system, the head of the Reconciliation Center, Rear Admiral Vladimir Kolt, said. So, just to give you a little backdrop of these weapons here, like the Panzer S system, this is a really old system, but you know, it's like when they have, you know, you watch these old-ass war movies, World War II movies, where they have these, like, you'll see kind of like a guy sitting in a chair with this big-ass turret at the end, and it's pretty much just firing, like, what you would think is like bullets, but they really big-ass bullets, really big rounds, or like what they call flak. You know, they just, and then they can spin them around, so, you know, it's a continual firing of those things. But the other one is, the Buk-M2 is pretty much like, not really like the S300 or S400. It's a smaller system and a more versatile, like, you know, because like the S400 and 300, it's a multiple unit thing where you have the radar, like one vehicle is the radar, and then you have a bunch of these different launchers, all right, where the trucks with the missiles on the back. This has pretty much got the missiles on the back, and it's got the radar built into one little launcher. And some of these are autonomous. They pretty much just work by themselves, all right? It says, for Tuesday's strike, the Israeli jets had penetrated Syrian airspace through an area of At Taf on the Jordanian border controlled by the U.S. military, the Reconciliation Center said. The IDF have launched airstrikes into Syrian territory for years, with Tel Aviv saying they were a self-defense measure aimed at Iranian targets in the country. So it's just like this. Think about it. They're basically saying, because we know that they're over there developing weapons, or they're storing weapons, or they just have weapons over there, we have the right to defend ourselves. We're going to go ahead and just blow up their little stockpile and everything like that. So what happens if if Russia took the same approach against America? Like, well, y'all got all y'all damn military and NATO bases surrounding Russia right now. You know what I'm saying? And we see y'all got y'all little launchers and everything. We know that y'all keep talking about this Russian aggression, so we know that we y'all enemy. How about we just go and do a preemptive strike on America, just bomb y'all right now while we got the chance, because we know that y'all eventually gonna come over here, so we're gonna just go ahead and nuke America off the face of the earth, man. All right, America will cry out like, see, they're trying to kill us and blah, blah, blah. That's not fair. We didn't do nothing to them. I mean, who's to say that we can't have a self-defense system? You know, so like, you see what I'm saying? The hypocrisy of these damn devils, man. Damascus has protested the attacks, calling them acts of aggression, like I was just going into. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, we ain't even doing nothing to y'all. We just happen to have some weapons over here, and now y'all want to go over here and start not even really so-called. It wasn't like Iran was like, or Israel was like, oh, we about to go fuck up Syria. No, it was like, no, we trying to, you know, well, we're gonna go blow up Iranian, you know, Iranian, how do you call it, installations and things like that, their equipment, because we're gonna blow that up, but it's, you know, on Syrian soil. You see what I'm saying? But hey, this is the same damn ideology they use with the so-called fake-ass terrorists that they had over there in Syria, where America was like, oh, we got to go blow up the ISIS members. And it was them that was the ones that was putting them over there anyway, just to go over there and blow up the infrastructure over in Syria. But nevertheless, it says earlier this month, Russia, Turkey, and Iran, all right, jointly condemned the continuous Israeli attacks as violations of international law, international humanitarian law, and sovereignty of Syria and neighboring countries, which this is all true. But look at the nations that's speaking up. Russia and Iran, right? Now, I didn't mention Turkey because Turkey is actually a NATO member, right? They're a NATO partner. But this is another prophecy that's speaking loud and clear right now. You know, they that eat that bread, the men of that confederacy, the men that were at peace with thee have brought thee even to the border. See, Turkey is an American ally or a NATO ally, you know, for the time being. You know, they not really talking, but you know what I'm saying? It's like a husband and a wife. They basically about to get a divorce or something like that, or they going through problems. He's sleeping in one room, she's sleeping in another room. They don't really talk. You know, they about to go and file for a divorce. It's only a set amount of time whenever they can get free, but it's pretty much over for them at this point in time, you know? But nevertheless, the only nations that's really speaking out are these so-called non-Western nations. Like I said, Turkey, I just explained Turkey's position, but Russia and Iran, you know what I'm saying? They're like, this the only people you got left. I mean, you got China. You know what I'm saying? You can say Syria, but nevertheless, they was involved in it. But hey, everybody else is turning a blind eye to or these Western allies and things. Like I said, they continuously make or turn their a blind eye to these things. When in reality, like they said, it's a violation of international law. You can't just go over there and just be bombing people. Well, let me see. It says international law and sovereignty of Syria. So you can't just go inside a nation and just start bombing over there for no reason. You know what I'm saying? You got to at least declare an act of war, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we finna go to war with y'all. Just like when America was over there bombing Syria. They wasn't at war with Bashar al-Assad, not face to face. It was pretty much a proxy war. But nevertheless, they was like, no. We not attacking the government over here. We're attacking the damn the terrorists that's over here, you know. And if they just so happen to be beside some military base, military equipment or something like that, we gonna, you know, that's just collateral damage. Like what y'all really doing is blowing up the infrastructure over there in Syria, man. The government has to rebuild. The people, the citizens, they have to pay the price for this, man. So you can't just be going over there blowing up shit in other people's countries, man. All right. International humanitarian law. All right, because of the fact of, hey, man, like I just said, man, you got a thing called collateral damage, and they're not really taking, taking that into account, that those people are actually out there dying. Like, well, they just so happen to be in the way. We can't allow them to get these here. If 500 people had to die or 30 people had to die, it's way much more better for them to have died than for Iran to get a nuclear bomb and wipe Israel off the face of the earth. What a tragic loss. I ain't gonna go into what they be saying, but nevertheless, let's just get into some scriptures real quick, not making this too long. Matthew 24, I'm gonna start at verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, what shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Jumping down to verse 6, it says, And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. All right, and this is what you have going on right now, wars and rumors of wars, to build up to World War III. All right. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So this is what you have going on. I mean, shit, we got famines going on right now with the rise of food prices and also shortages as well. Pestilence, you know, you have all kind of different, whether it be like how you say, like red tides or insect infestations, rat infestations, or if you have diseases and things going around, all kind of different things, man. All right, earthquakes, all these things, diverse places, man. All right, but nevertheless, the important part was you have wars and rumors of wars, where these different nations are going at each other's throat. All right. Let me go to Ezekiel 38. This is Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him. All right, speaking towards Russia. All right, and say, Thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right, and this is going into them coming back from that the USSR. All right, there was a fall. America went in and did some work to them, so Soviet Union fell and collapsed, and this is where you get a lot of those other nations that's bordering Russia. They weren't actually nations before; they was all a part of the USSR. Then you had like I think it's called the Russian Federation now is the new name of it. Before it was like just Russia, then the Russian Federation, but nevertheless they're becoming that same big superpower again. Like I said, they became like a third world country, but now they've became their economy came back up to where people are willing to somewhat accept their currency. All right, they're doing trade deals and everything like that, exporting natural gases, all right, with the Nord Stream 2 pipeline and everything else like that. And the main important part is they're exporting defensive weapons, man. All right, this is how all these nations are getting these like Syria, Venezuela, all right, just to name a couple different nations, how they're getting these missile defense systems. All right, they're getting these so-called where you can deny the air superiority, or the Western side's just raining missiles down on them. All right, because beforehand, this is how America was able to dominate all over the place, because they could basically just fly in with their little stealth planes and stuff like that, they guided missiles, and just start bombing the hell out of these people. But now Russia's got the equalizer, man. Russia could pretty much stop anything that the American side can throw at it, and like I said, it's pretty much like a proxy going on right now, but they just testing the weaponry from both sides. And and you can clearly see that Russia clearly has the advantage. All right, the one thing that America, because America didn't really try to develop their missile defense systems. And when you go back to the fall of Nazi Germany, this is where all this here technology come from. It ain't really been no new technology that then came out since then. You can say the nuclear powered cruise missiles and the hypersonic missiles. Those are like the only new shits that they got. But everything else, from the drones, all that extra shit, the jets, the missiles, Hitler had all that shit, right? And they also had like the missile defense systems that you know of today, like the S-300, S-400, but they wasn't at that generation yet. But America took theirs, which is like the Patriot system, the what's it called? The Patriot system and the THAAD system. All right, they hadn't really upgraded their systems like that, man. Russia then upgraded theirs from, like, I think it was like the S-125, the S-250, the S-300, the S-400, S-500, S-700, S-900. So, and all these, they about ready to put the S-500 in production by the end of the year. All right, I believe it's by the end of this year. All right, but nevertheless, they've been developing theirs to stop the bombardment of America and their allies, bombing the shit out of Russia. All right, but America on their side, they have a different doctrine. Their doctrine is a preemptive strike. So their way of so-called defeating Russia is the fact of the matter of, hey, we don't really need to defend ourselves. We plan on just launching our shit first, right? Well, Russia they got all these damn missile launchers and everything like that to defend themselves. They can pretty much stop all of that, man. All right. And they also have what they call the dead hand system. So even if there was no human beings on the land of Russia, all right, once, they have like radars and things like that. Once they was to detect a incoming missile, like I said, nobody's around. All right, they have this thing called a dead hand system, which basically will launch one missile up into the air, which is like a radar beacon or something to that sort, which would launch off all the other missiles all around wherever they got them at, and it would hit all their enemies. All right, so shit, you're not really fucking with Russia, man. All right, and it was also set up for Russia to take on, to lead the way to take down America. All right, so let's go back to verse 4. It says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all right, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So as you notice, it keeps going into the fact that they have bucklers, shields, and helmets and things like that, man. All right, which this is going into is mainly they talking about defensive weapons. All right, they don't really, they all have, they also have missiles and things like that. But see, Russia's not like exporting these Satan 1 and Satan 2 intercontinental ballistic missiles. They're not really selling them shits to nobody, but nevertheless, they selling all of these missile defense systems to all these other nations. They're giving them the bucklers, the shields, and the helmets, and all these different things to defend themselves, right? And you see how it's playing out. Hey, America ain't able to just roll up when America or their proxies aren't able to just roll up into all these other weaker nations like they used to. All right. Verse 5 says Persia, which is Iran, all right, Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmet. Gomer and his bands in the house of Tomargah of the north quarters and all his bands and many people with thee. All right, so like I was saying, man, you see these nations that's banded together with Russia, all right, and now you see them being popping up in the news right now. And you seeing how Russia, well, let me read the next one. Verse 7, be thou prepared, all right, and as you see, like we read up in, I believe, verse 4, all right, that Russia was coming back from that old state, and they've been preparing themselves, all right, it says, be thou prepared and prepare thyself. All right, so Russia has been strengthening their economy, all right, finding natural gases on their land and exporting those, developing their military and exporting defensive weapons, all right. So now Russia is becoming a major player, international tradesman now, all right. And now pretty much they're becoming a superpower again, man, able to fight multiple wars on multiple fronts at the same time, man. All right, you don't really want to just roll up on Russia like that at this point in time, man. All right, maybe 20 years ago, you might have been able to do that, but now it ain't looking so well for you. All right. Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right. So ultimately, Russia is going to be a guard unto these different nations. All right. And basically, how I say, arm them with the tools that they need to be able to defend themselves. Where's that precept real quick? Isaiah 14 and 10. All right. Speaking of all these other nations, right? It says, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? All right. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worm covered thee. So, hey, beforehand, these other, America was easily able to just run up in all these other nations and just like, pretty much take them over in like a day or two, maybe a week at the most. All right. And it was just no problem. They didn't really stress or struggle trying to take out these nations. All right. But now they're having a harder time to take out these nations, where the roles are starting to reverse a little bit, whereas like beforehand, like I was saying, America could easily just roll up in any of these nations, Syria, Iran, and just bomb the hell out of them, no problem. And these other nations couldn't really defend themselves or couldn't stand up for themselves. But now, Russia's making it hard for these nations or for America or their equipment to be used in these other nations. Like, hey, you seen how America was trying to steal Venezuela? They put that S-300 over there. You very rarely hear about Venezuela anymore. All right, they had this so-called problem in the Middle East with what they call ISIS. All right, what was it, Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. All right, where they had the Free Syrian Army versus basically basically the Syrian army, but the Syrian government. All right, whereas America pretty much was arming these people over there. All right, with the whole Benghazi situation with Hillary Clinton, and that's what the hell was going on with that. But nevertheless, they was over there also arming really the terrorists. All right, they the ones who created them. And then America kept portraying it as, oh, there's a terrorist problem. There's terrorists spreading all throughout the Middle East. We got to go and stop this spread before it spreads all over the whole globe. But it was really America that was arming them, training them. That was them the whole spot, man. No, in fact, their headquarters is in Colorado. This is where they come from. I forgot what the name of the corporation was, but you have these things called NGOs, non-governmental organizations. I believe is what that stand for. But they use these things to pretty much act like a government without borders and things like that. And they can, these little power players like your boy George Soros, he's pretty much an NGO himself. All right, he can create things and movements like the Black Lives Matter movement and pretty much dictates how a society can, be persuaded and move certain types of ways. So, like, for instance, not to go too far off topic, for instance, he didn't created the Black Lives Matter whole movement. And you see how they had the protesters and things here in America, which was allowing them to create new laws about, if already these protesters out there, you got the right to run them over now. So when all out chaos and things break down or break out because of the fact of a lack of bread and things like that, they're setting up laws for them to just bring in the government or the military and just kill off all the people. But they needed an outside person, more or less to say, which, speaking of George Soros being a NGO, non-governmental organization, to create this here scenario for them, problem, reaction, solution. It's called a Hegelian dialectic, all right? They already have the solution, but they create the problem and look for the reaction, and then they bring in the solution, order out of chaos. This is the way Esau moves. But nevertheless, let's continue on real quick. Let me grab this real quick, because we were speaking about Salaki, where is it? Was it 22? Salaki. Oh, here we go. Jeremiah 49 and 20, because see, like I was saying, they're using these proxies to go at each other right now, and that one little small sliver of land over there, where those imposters inhabiting over there is stirring up all this here drama. For what reason? To bring out, World War III and have it pop off the page. Jeremiah 49 and 20 says, therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom. All right, and now I'm going to show you something real quick. This is how we know who is running Babylon the Great in these last days, all right, or where you can find Esau, Edom in these last days. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom, and his purpose that he have purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And so, hey, the least of them over there in the Middle East, or the Israelis over there, all right, they're the ones with all the aggression. They're the ones stirring up this big-ass fire over there in the Middle East, man. That's why I say it can't be no peace in the Middle East, all right, because the least of them, the least of these Edomites that's over there is causing all this here damn drama, man, all right? But look at this. Jeremiah 49 and 20 again, it says, therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Edom. Right? Now let's go over to Jeremiah 50, and I think it's the last verse over here. Jeremiah 50 and 45. Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon. All right. So we just read the same thing, but he said against Edom. All right. So we can, spiritually extrapolate through the spirit that the Edomites will be controlling Babylon in days, and Babylon the Great will be inhabited by the Edomites in the last days, man. All right. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon, and his purpose that he have purposed against the land of the Chaldees. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. All right. So, ultimately, well, let me read verse 46. And at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations, because, you can read that in Revelation 18 about the nations standing afar, all right, and wailing for her torments, like, damn, what the hell just happened over there? All right. But ultimately, this is what's going to bring the downfall of America, or the ultimate destruction of America. They be like, oh, we got to support Israel. We got to support Israel. We got to support Israel and all these things. But you keep on up with that shit, because that ain't going to do nothing but get this here place wiped off the face of the earth, man. And this is all according to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, man. All right, this is his plan. This is his purpose, man. But he's going to use them imposters over there to stir up this here war, man. All right, so yeah, y'all keep funding them. Y'all keep backing them. You're only backing your own downfall, man. All right, and yeah, we know, for those that maybe knew, those people over there, first of all, Israel is a people before a place. We're the real Israelites. Those are Israelis. All right, we're the true Jews. They are Jewish. All right, just like if I say you acting womanish, I'm not saying you a woman. I'm just saying you acting like a woman. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah Bahashim Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us his truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, I can pushing his truth and sincerity over the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Till next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.